I was just thinking, have you ever been flying and then you and another pilot are just flying along, having a good time? Nice day, blue sky, little fluffy clouds off in the distance, and then you ask each other, "Hey, are you flying the plane or am I flying the plane?" Welcome to the Superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and today in my basement, I'm going to talk about diffusion of responsibility. Just like when I and another guy were flying along, we forgot who was flying the plane. it can happen, actually. So it was a beautiful day, and yeah, I was a training flight. Technically, I was pilot command, but we were taking turns flying, and we had the plane all nice and trimmed out, and it was just going along. The altitude was holding perfectly, and we were just talking, heading off. We were going up to Sarnia. It's like everything's nice. And then after a little bit of yak yak yak, uh, hey man, are you flying the plane right now? I thought you were. I don't know. Okay, I have control. Okay, you have control. And we just let the plane, but we kind of laughed about it too. There was like, for a little while there, we forgot who was like technically flying the plane. And Danielle is giving me the all square. Thank you very much, Daniel. So audio and video is good. And yeah, so we were flying along, just kind of forgot. Oh yeah, not a big deal on a really nice day with no traffic around, and things happen. But in a little bit more of a training situation that's a little bit more intense, or it's a busier airport or something like that, you can't get away with that. So anyways, I was thinking about this show because recently a report came out about, like, I don't talk about anything with fatalities on this show because it's just kind of a bummer, but it got me really thinking and researching even a little bit into our in Transport Canada. We put out this book that everybody has to read, technically, supposedly, to get your commercial license. It's the Human Factors for Aviation Advanced Handbook. And not many people have that book lying around, but I do. And so I was looking in there to see if there was something called diffusion of responsibility, if it was ever covered. Like, because I know I studied that at some point. I knew it's in my head, but I forget where it came from. And so I don't think I was trained about that specific thing in as part of my license to get a commercial multi-IFR license, or even when I was a pilot examiner. So for example, like when I was working as a pilot examiner for Transport Canada, okay, there was always a question about who is pilot in command. Now, pilot in command is very important because that's the person that's responsible for everything. Who is responsible? You're tested on that over and over and over again. The pilot in command is responsible. That's it. So who's the pilot in command? When I was examining someone to be a private pilot, they didn't have their license yet, so I was the pilot in command. I'm responsible for everything. Plane gets dinged up, examiner's fault. Oops. Even didn't intervene soon enough. Luckily that never really happened to me. But and then for when I would examine people to have their commercial license, they already had their private pilot license, so they could legally fly the airplane. So they're pilot in command. So they ding up the airplane, ding a wingtip off a building. Hey, that's your fault, sort of, because as an examiner, we are also, when we were delegated by Her Majesty the Queen through the Minister of Transportation, that it's the examiner that we were trained to be, we have to exercise duty of care. And what that means is that anytime that there's something that's going to happen where the aircraft can get damaged or people can get hurt, then it is your responsibility as the examiner. Even though you're not the pilot in command, you're the examiner, you still have to exercise duty of care. That's your responsibility to make sure things don't crash. So anyways, so that's as a evaluator there's that thing there with duty of care. Okay, we're getting around to the diffusion of responsibility eventually. So, like I was talking about in the human factors for aviation, and the diffusion of responsibility happens to everybody, which I'll get to later. Yeah. So this little book here. Okay, so that's it's talking about you have to learn about that, and you're tested on it. This level, it's the advanced handbook. It's a little bit more in depth about for physiology and things that can happen to humans, hypoxia, effects of fatigue, things like that. But it also has a little section on crew resource management. Okay, CRM, crew resource management. And so every commercial operator out there, like so your big jets you see flying around, or even like what would it be? Little charter operations. If you got a few employees, everyone has to be trained to a certain level at crew resource management. So that means especially if you're going to have a pilot co-pilot situation, pilot flying, pilot not flying, if you have flight attendants or whatever crew members are there, you all got to be able to kind of work as a team. And so you're trained on that in the book. But I was also looking in there, and the CRM, and this was all developed pretty much in 1989. The was the International Civil Aviation Organization. They said 1989, okay, everybody, we're having too many accidents. You got to train people on how to work together with CRM. So that's where this has come from, where that came from. And so all that is like, if you're talking with your pilot, co-pilot, flight attendant, flight engineer, back when this was written, there was still a bunch of 727s flying around with a second officer there. And so you would have to kind of work as a team. And that's kind of what the book says. But it doesn't talk about diffusion of responsibility. So I was thinking maybe I got that in my head from the book. Let's check. It's not in the book. So where did I get that? I must have got that from my second year psychology, social psychology class that I took. And then, but I always noticed that when I was flying, that's a real thing for flying. And so roughly what diffusion of responsibility is, you can Google it. You can call it, some people call it the bystander effect. It's basically that I think most people have encountered this in one form or another in their lives, where if there's a big group of people, you feel less responsible to like say, I don't know, there's some guy laying down on the sidewalk in downtown New York, and there's like thousands of people walking by on their way to work. Did the guy have a heart attack? Did he have like an epileptic seizure or something like that? Everyone just keeps walking. But if it's like just you walking through a park or something like that, and you see some guy collapsed on the ground, you can check to see if he's breathing, check for a pulse. Usually I just see if they're breathing, and it's usually some bum that's just passed out. I just let him sleep. But is he breathing? I don't want to wake up a bum. He might, I don't know, I might be disturbing a really good dream he's having. But but anyways, if you're kind of one-on-one, you are more likely to help someone out than if you're 100 on one, 6 people in a group to one, and then so something like that. So just like when I was flying with the guy that I was training, and we kind of forgot who was flying the airplane, it's because that was definitely, that wouldn't happen if it was me just by myself. I wouldn't say, hey, Graham, are you flying the plane? Of course, I know I am. And I'm 100% responsible as the pilot in command. And hey, Daptery's here too. Hi. Okay, so I will illustrate this in the finest whiteboard fashion. Okay. And I'm going to make up some numbers out of my head, and feel free to correct me. I didn't research in it and do PhD theses on it or anything like that. So here we are. We're going to have our diffusion of responsibility in the cockpit. Feel free to show this to your CRM study course, your class. Okay. diffusion of responsibility. So we got three scenarios here. We got this is my excellent cockpit. Here I am. Someone's flying here as a pilot in command in a single seat fighter jet, which is really cool, or whatever plane where you're the only guy flying. And then so at that point, okay, who feels responsible for that plane? You got one guy there, so we're gonna say that dude is feeling and acting 100% responsible as pilot in command. Well, that makes sense. Now, what happens there if you got a pilot co-pilot situation? Okay, does he feel 100% responsible? Does she feel 100% responsible as the as the first officer, co-pilot? Well, you're not the pilot in command, so you're not really 100% in charge. But then you're also working as a team here. Who is more in charge? Now is it 50-50? Not really, because usually your captain has a little bit more experience and knowledge and maybe even qualifications over the first officer. So wouldn't be 50-50, although you might split your flying duties 50-50, depending on how things are going. But in my expert opinion, because I am an aviation psychology expert, and the number that I picked out of my head, not totally randomly, but I would say at that point, I'd say 80-20. Why? Because 80-20 seems to be floating around out there in social media a lot. So let's do 80-20. So say the captain's 80%, first officer is 20%. Okay, I would say like that. And you could split up, we'll say like who feels the most responsible. Because I know if you're like I've been, when you're learning how to fly, you're a student and you're like, hey, I'm not responsible at all, man. The instructor's got my back here. And he's responsible, or anything gets in, I get into trouble. She's the one supposed to take control. So it's like, yeah, it's not exactly split 50-50. So if this is the case here, this person here is going to be kind of, I don't know, maybe less mindful of what's going on. And yeah, so there's that. Now we're going to get into, and because this the captain here, see, the captain's got someone that he can rely on over here. So he'd be like, you know what? If I miss a little something, the first officer will catch it. Yeah, they're pretty good. That happens, and it's a phenomenon. The responsibility has now been diffused a bit. Now, what if we got three people in the cockpit? Okay, you could have a captain, first officer. This person over here could be a flight engineer or second officer. Maybe they're maybe it's an older plane. They're paying attention to fuel levels, engine temperatures and pressures, the checklist. Usually that's the checklist person that's reading things out. So I don't know. Now this is getting split up a little bit more. Is the captain here going to be counting on just 20%? Well, I think the captain is going to be able to. It's like, these other two guys got my back. So I would guess in my my scientific guess, pilot guess, I'll bet you that guy goes down to about, okay, how would I draw this? About 60. I'd say the captain's going down about 60% right there. Ooh, how can I do that? Yeah. So I could have done that a little bigger. Let's get the old eraser out, my high-tech eraser. I don't know if it's worth the money to buy like an actual eraser for my whiteboard or just keep with the paper towels. I'm not sure. Okay, let's make it a nice legible 60. All right, that's probably a little better. So captain over there, he's down about 60%. Now the captain is still 100% pilot in command, responsible for everything that happens on that plane. But you're going to feel like these guys can help me out a bit because they're all qualified. So why not? It's just it's what people do. And then so for the for the first officer over here, well, they're still looking out for traffic. They're both, they're going to split the duties of flying the airplane. I'm the pilot flying, I'm the pilot not flying, I'm the pilot monitoring, whatever. Da, 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 da. So I'd still say at the first officer, I'd still say they're probably about 20%. And so that's about the same. But now you got this flight engineer here. That could also be the pilot examiner. So if you're going to be doing a check ride and seeing, maybe you're a CRM, crew resource management evaluator, and you're at an airline. So this guy's sitting in the jump seat, and this person here also has some duty of care to make sure that, hey, I'm a senior trainer here on for CRM. If something's bad, I got to say something. So they're going to feel a little bit responsible there too. And they also have to be paying attention for any mistakes here to see if they have to do more training or what. So if we're seeing here, according to my full scientific knowledge, your pilot in command is going to be, okay, they're right on the ball. They're looking everywhere for traffic. They're monitoring all the engine instruments. They're navigating, like paying attention to everything. It's hard to do everything yourself, but you're going to do it because you don't want to get lost. You don't want to run out of fuel. No one's got your back. No one else is landing the plane except for you. So when you're by yourself, it's going to be more workload, and you're going to really pay attention and stuff. So if you're paying attention to everything, you're not going to be like me flying with the other guys saying, "Oh yeah, are you flying the plane?" I forgot. Yeah, that won't happen if you're by yourself. But you get to this, you're pilot, you are pilot in command. Here's the captain, but you're gonna, it's just human nature that you're going to rely on someone else, and your stress level will go down. You'll be able to do longer legs on your flights. And then over here with the three crew in the cockpit, it's easy peasy. You might even be just sitting there partying. Well, I mean, you can't really party hardy in a cockpit, but I mean, you're just sitting around joking and talking about your schedule and what vacation you're going to take or something like that, what your kid did. And so it's like, no, this pilot in command, it's getting down lower. And so as far as what you feel that you should be paying attention, like if you're the pilot in command here, you're not giving 100% attention to everything, because you can delegate some of that stuff and you trust your crew. Maybe you trust them a bit too much. I don't know. But I mean, to have an efficient CRM, crew resource management system, you do have to delegate, and that's the way it goes. You just got to do it responsibly, smartly, and pay attention to what you're doing. So that's diffusion of responsibility right there. And I don't think I've seen any other pilot talk about it like this. And of course, those numbers, like I said, I just pulled them out of my hat. But I don't know. You could leave a comment, as YouTubers like to do. Leave a comment below what you think, or like and subscribe, all that other fun stuff. But yeah, so that can happen where, one person will be like, and I've had this happen to me where maybe you miss a radio call, and then the other person you're flying with could be your student. I'm teaching a student how to fly, and like I'm paying attention, trying to instruct them and kind of watch what they're doing and make sure they're not making mistakes, and thinking about how I can correct what mistakes they did make. And my brain's thinking like this, and I miss a radio call from the tower that's telling me, hey, this. And then the student says, oh, was that for us? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. Tower, was that for us? Yeah, Yeah, turn heading, blah, 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 to avoid traffic. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's diffusion of responsibility is a thing. It's not covered in most human factors training, CRM training. I think maybe it should be, and just be aware of it. And the way that you can get around this natural phenomenon that happens to everybody in a group, unless you're like trained on it, you'll just go along with it. Oh, here's another example here too of diffusion of responsibility. Like I was talking before about some dudes having laying on the ground. Now, I remember this from first aid training that I had years ago, where if there's someone down there, maybe they had a heart attack or something like that, and well, I have first aid training now, so no one's doing anything. Well, get in there, check for a pulse. Are they breathing? Start doing compressions. And at that point, you're the pilot in command. So, but if you were trained if no one had first aid training and they were told in training, okay, no one's doing anything, you do it. And then you start delegating. You say, you call 911, you get out to the front of the building and wave down the ambulance, get them over here, something like that. So if you're trained in the diffusion of responsibility or the bystander effect and you're aware of it, there's less chance that that's going to happen to you. So if you are flying, you're evaluating somebody in a crew environment, you're pilot, co-pilot, be aware that, you, oh yeah, I am kind of relying on them a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't. I mean, yeah, should, but, be aware that there's a tendency to not do that. And then you'll be okay. Then maybe at that point, this 80-20 might get to 100-100. I don't know. Or you'll feel a little bit more engaged in the flight. I don't know. Might help out. And I hope it does. And I'm aware of it. And, that's, yeah, let's fly safe. Okay. And yes, I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. So that's about it for the show. We'll go through the comments and see if anybody's got anything interesting to add. Wrench usually does. Here we go. I didn't even read this. I'm just going to put it up. So, thinking about captain of a ship, can pilot in command be pilot in command and not touch the controls? Ship captain talks to helmsman, right? Captain Kirk too. Pilot also means guy that steers in boats. Okay, so I'm talking airplane pilots here. And let me see here. Can a pilot in command not touch the controls at all? Yes. Because I've done that as a flight instructor. All right, let's go flying. I'm pilot in command. I just tell the student what to do, and they do it. And if they're doing a good job, I don't have to do anything. I'm like, okay, cool. And even still, to be put on my pilot examiner hat and do a flight test for somebody, yeah, I don't touch the controls. I just sit there and evaluate, but I'm pilot in command, so that can happen. Yeah, and that is that. Okay. Is diffusion of responsibility a legal concept? If I crash, is first officer 20% to blame? No, it is not a legal concept. It's just kind of like a social psychology concept that has been studied quite a bit. You can Google around and there's studies on that, YouTube videos you can check out and things like that. But yeah, still in the world of aviation, the pilot in command is 100% responsible all the time. And that's it. And so there we go. And yes, Daniel, I will gently pull the mixture here and we'll kind of, yep, we'll shut her down here pretty soon. So, today is Monday. All right. I used to have this psychology teacher. She was like really annoying. Every day she'd be like, happy Monday. And then it'd be Wednesday, happy Wednesday. It's just like, I'm in like university here. I'm not in like kindergarten. But she specialized in childhood education. And yeah, Oh, well, don't get a psychology degree. But unless you really want to, like me, I just got it so I could get it, so I could say, yeah, I got it. It's totally useless. And I got one. It's pretty useless. I learned, I remembered maybe 1% of everything that I took in that course. So, righty, here we go. And last comment, funny in driving cars is the opposite. Front passenger is not helpful. Unless you can delegate some navigation duties to him. I do that sometimes. And yeah, so today's Monday. Happy Monday. And I'll see you on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And we'll just kind of shut her down. So thank you for watching. Bye.